Hi, this is Jet with the Personal Side of Business. We're in Boise, Idaho at the Teton Valley Brands factory. We're gonna go inside to meet the owners. Let's go.
Yeah, well, want to show us how everything works, Hal?
Yeah, absolutely. You've probably never been in a potato chip factory, but a potato chip is actually not that complicated of a process to make, and we'll kind of go through the steps so you can see. But as you can tell, this is quite a bit different from our basement just a few years ago. So as far as a potato chip is concerned, everybody thinks of it as a really terrible snack food, right? It's like so processed. Well, actually, you have a whole potato. Sometimes they peel it, sometimes they don't. We usually don't. You slice it up, you give it a rinse, you cook it in oil, you season it, and then you package it. And that's pretty much the whole thing. So it's not a really highly processed where you're dehydrating it and you're blanching it and you're trying to take out the nutrients and add nutrients back in, and none of that. It's just slice, cook, season, package.
And for some of the ones, the flavors that start to get really, I guess, complex in a sense, is that still done the same way?
Yeah, so as far as potato chips are concerned, the seasoning is kind of its own process. So you can put whatever flavors you want in the chip, but the cooking process is all the same. So that's post-cook, you add some kind of ingredient. And so those can get a little bit complicated. Those can get more processed for sure. If you're just doing classic salt, or if you're doing usually the classic flavors, they're not so much that way, but you can get into some pretty funky ingredients depending on how you want to do it. So.
Okay. So what are some of these machines used for in this process?
Yeah, absolutely. So if we start back here, you can see we've got these big bins. They're kind of hard to see from this angle, but those are full of potatoes all the way down. We get potatoes straight from the field or straight from storage, and they're dirty, not at all like what you'd see, you know, on the store shelf. Caked with mud. And so this first process, these 3 stages, is all just the cleaning process. First, we take out all the rocks in case there's any rocks. Then we roll them around with spraying water. And then this one's actually kind of cool. We're actually scrubbing them. So these are brushes very similar to what you'd use in your sink at home, right? These are rolling and the potatoes are rolling on them, and it's just scrubbing dirt off. And then from there, we have this inspection table. So someone's here constantly, and just like you do at home in the kitchen, right? If you're peeling the potato, you see a black spot, you cut it off. You know, you got these little blades, they'll trim it and put it back on to leave the good potato. Or if they see some kind of rot or some greening or just anything, right? Anything that shouldn't be in a potato chip. From there, we come to this machine. And this guy right here is the slicer. It actually is on wheels, and it'll come and it'll sit right here. And the potatoes will fall on the top there, and out come potatoes. Excuse me, potato chips, just uncooked. So then we come here to the fryer. This is on a scale, and it weighs out the batch so that you make sure you get the right amount of potatoes in it.
How many potatoes can make one bag?
Yeah, that's a good question.
On average.
So in a typical like 8-ounce or 7-ounce bag, you have about 4 potatoes.
Well, yeah.
This is kind of the main attraction. This is our fryer, and we can push through about 500 pounds of finished potato chips an hour through it. Yeah, this was the main limiting factor in our previous facility. When we got started, we didn't have any conveyors or anything. We just had a fryer, and we would just kind of toss the chips in like that. Today it's all conveyed, and it works much nicer. But yeah, it's a kettle fryer, which means it's a batch process. So the potatoes come in, they cook for about 8 minutes, and then they get pushed out. And so the continuous is at a lot higher temperature. That's kind of your classic Lay's potato chip is continuous. Kettle has that little bit heartier crunch to it that you'll be familiar with. And all of our process today is kettle cooked.
Now, you said this was sort of the missing piece. What does a machine like this cost to get?
Yeah, they vary a lot, but think 7 figures, you know, right around $1 million is what you're going to be spending. So, and that was one of the scariest things when we started this company. We knew it was a good idea, but how are you going to pay for all this, right? I've got I don't have any savings like that, but I certainly don't have any kind of credit history or business experience. And that was one of the biggest challenges getting off the ground.
Now, how much of a difference in production does this make, let's say, compared to what you were doing before?
This fryer can do about 4x of what our previous fryer could do.
I think from a standpoint where you were talking about expanding, this allows you to get into deeper markets and probably be able to handle that if, I guess, something does go wrong, right? Like if you have, the weather or temperature or something starts to play a part in what you're able to do, you can kind of get back here and go, we can make it up in a shorter amount of time if, you have to make it up somehow.
Yep, no, absolutely. Capacity is always one of the biggest constraints with manufacturing, and you want to get larger accounts, but can you fulfill them? And is it too much, right? You don't want one customer taking all of your capacity. Then what happens if they don't order? What happens to all the other accounts when they do order? And so, yeah, those are some of the things that we juggle. But it helps having more capacity always.
Yeah. And what about over here? What is this elevator looking?
Yeah, absolutely. So the chips come out of here and they get fed into this guy. This is actually, and if you look right inside, you can see it's just a huge basket. This is a centrifuge. And so a big basket that spins the chips really fast and it pulls off all the surface oil so that when you're eating a chip, you don't get too much oil. Nobody likes that when you grab a chip. So yeah, this is kind of a bonus step. A lot of factories don't have this. It was really important for us in trying to create a really quality product and a good customer experience. We didn't want to have too much oil.
Yeah. Did you have this in the original?
We did not.
Okay. What was the deciding factor? Was it just feedback from
customers? Yeah. And really it was even internally, we would say, why do we have so much oil, in these bags or on the bottom of the bag or, whatnot. And you grab a bag, once again, you grab a chip out and it's got a little bit of oil and you're like, that's not what I want, right? I don't want a chip, I don't want oil. And so it was actually a pretty important thing for us, was finding a way to solve that. And so this is it.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, great.
So we come out of the inspection, and by the way, we're doing some maintenance. Today's a day down, and so we've got some different things happening, but they come out of here and this is an inspection area. So this will have a screen that goes on here, and then people will stand here as the chips go by, and you'll pull out anything that you don't like, anything that's an ugly potato chip. If it's got black spots, if it's overcooked, if it's brown, if it's burnt, anything like that. If it clumps together, that's pretty unusual, but it does happen.
And what's this over here?
Yeah, so this is what we call a storveyor. All it is a place where we store chips. So in the batch process, it becomes challenging to have kind of a continuous flow because you cook a big batch and you take it to its next step. This tries to even out that process. So you stack up a whole batch and then you convey out a little bit at a time and try to get a more consistent flow to the back end of the line. So when it comes off of the storveyor, we come right here to our seasoning area. And this is actually a huge upgrade for us. For years, we were doing hand seasoning, and as nice as it is to say hand season on the product, it's just not as quality of a product. You can't get it as consistent as a machine. And so, we've got a little auger that feeds it, and then we try to even the feed. We're actually going to even be upgrading this at some point, but needless to say, it gives a nice consistent seasoning. You want as consistent a product so the customer knows what to expect and they can enjoy the product time after time. I mean, we'll have occasionally customers call in and say, hey, I've been eating your chips for years, and this one tasted a little funny, and they'll explain to us, you know, it was a little over-seasoned or under-seasoned, and we take that feedback very, very seriously. It's pretty unusual, but whenever we hear something like that, you know, we know we've got to tighten up. And really, as we've grown, you will see, to a degree, more of that just because of the volume. You know, we've just got 10 times the amount of chips on the market, so
Yeah.
10 times as many opportunities to make a little mistake.
It's interesting that you've brought that up a couple times now, that customer feedback is really what you guys have made adjustments to. Do you think you would have figured that out on your own if you didn't get any customers calling in asking or telling you things are happening?
Yes and no. At the end of the day, what's most important is the customer's experience is good. And so oftentimes we don't know because we're not tasting every chip that goes into every bag, right? We do get a sense of it, but the customer is really where we get most of that feedback. Yeah, that feedback loop is really important. And the shorter it is, the more you can react to it. So I would say mostly not. It's really important to hear from the customers.
Yeah. Yeah. And how do customers usually reach out to you guys? Is it emails, phone calls, all of the above?
Yeah, all of the above. I would say mostly emails, but we've got our phone active, and you can call in and talk to Whitney. She's fantastic. She's our customer service rep.
Whitney's about to get a bunch of phone calls.
Yeah, she would love it. Yeah, so we come off of the seasoning, and the last section is packaging. And essentially we've got 3 lanes, and they feed these machines. You've got a scale on top, and it weighs out the product, and then it drops it down to the machine below, which creates the bags and produces the final product.
When you guys were shipping it out of your home to now, how different of an accuracy would you say you have at that point? Like, were you guys weighing it every single bag before it shipped out there when you were doing it out of your home?
Yes, we were. Those were rough days back in the day. But yeah, we did. We had a process where we had some buckets, and we put them on scales, and yeah, I mean, it was all by hand like this, and you dump. I mean, it was.
It was like it seems like an afternoon of shipments, and you're like, that was 8 bags of potato chips.
Yeah. Yeah, I still have this picture that I remember the first time we filled up our dining room table with bags, and I was like, whoa, like, this is it, like, we're doing it. I had no idea what we were getting into at that point, but it was a fun moment for us. So we were in the warehouse. You can see these are actually our nitrogen tanks. Oxygen is one of the things that ruins products, and so we try to push the oxygen out and add some nitrogen to the bag. And then we got our packaging, all kinds of different sizes and different flavors. You can see them. And even some of the different private label brands that we're doing. We do a number of different brands for other people.
And this is all set up way before you guys are gonna put anything in there? Like, it takes, you went and did analysis and looked at the packaging, if it works, and maybe send it out to people. Do you guys send it out to for customers to look at first and see which one, or study groups, anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Every account is a little bit different. For our own products, that was actually really tricky, trying to figure out how does the artwork work for our own products. You know, what kind of spacing, how do the machines work with the artwork? We were able to figure it out though over time. And then yeah, you rely on the printing companies as far as what type of materials to use. There's a whole array of materials. Ours are pretty standard to the potato chip category. However, it's a little bit thicker, a little bit more premium product, something that holds everything together a little bit better.
What is the strategy for shipping? Do you outsource it to a company and pay them to do it, or how do you do it?
Yeah, so for any local accounts, we have trucks that go around and do deliveries and take care of all of our local accounts. And then we have partner DSD groups for other distributors that we work with that we will ship product to. And then what's kind of best for us for shipping products is if we send it straight to retailer warehouses. And so we have some of those opportunities as well.
Well, thank you so much, Kyle, for showing us your factory. This is such a profound and amazing experience. Where can they find your chips?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're here local in the Boise area, you can find them almost anywhere. You know, Albertsons, Fred Meyer, Walmart, Winco. Online on Amazon is a great place to find our products. We do have some other national accounts that we're talking to right now. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that we're doing those quite yet. So be on the lookout though. Some of the natural stores, specifically with our Snake River Farms products.
I can't wait to taste it. All right, thank you so much, Kyle.
You got it.
Thank you. It's Personal Out Business. Thank you for watching.